Welcome back this week, and as you can see, I'm dressed pretty warm, and I'm also dressed in layers. The last week we talked about some of the hazards with working in the winter time during the months of November, December, January, and February for some of those of us that work in those cold states, and some of those hazards and risks that present themselves before us. For instance, slips, trips, and falls. This week I'd like to take that same message and take it to a different level and share with you that some of the things that are risks for us and that are hazardous for us in the summertime are also very similar and parallel those same risks for us in the wintertime. For example, hydration and dehydration. It's very, very important, number one, as we're working in the outdoors in the wintertime, that we drink plenty of liquid, plenty of water. I'm not talking about coffee or hot chocolate. While that does sometimes keep the body warm and the coffee wakes you up in the morning, the best thing that you can do in the wintertime is to drink lots of water to keep yourself hydrated. I want to move to some clothing areas. You'll see that I'm dressed in layers. I've got on 2 pairs of long johns and a pair of jeans to protect my skin. No different than you. You don't have to be paralyzed to wear long johns and jeans. And I'm also wearing clothing that's not necessarily wool. This is very important for you to understand. Wool tends to be a good heat absorbent, but it also will soak in that moisture and it stays wet, and therefore it makes you cold. So other types of fabric that are good for you to wear in the cold, silks are good, synthetics, netted fabric, and wear layers of that. And then you can take off those layers as you need to, because it'll take the sweat and the moisture from your body and it takes it away from your body rather than holds it in and compresses it. That's number 2, is the type of clothing that you wear. Number 3, heat exits from your head. And so in the wintertime, most of the time you're gonna find me wearing this type of PPE. Now I know it's not a hard hat, but if I were to be wearing a hard hat, I would have this on underneath it, for sure. I want to keep the heat in my body and make sure that I stay warm, and so I always like to have a hard hat on to make sure that I can keep the heat in. And I don't know if I've been lucky or it's just that I really try and focus on it, but I can tell you all that I have been sick on less times than I can count on one numb hand in the 14 years that I've been paralyzed. And I credit that to my wife reminding me to stay warm. And then lastly, it's important that you and I wear very, very warm gloves and warm socks. Now, the gloves for me, I need to make sure that they are warm enough yet thin enough that I can push a wheelchair. When you're working outdoors, make sure we keep our limbs, our feet, and our hands warm so that we don't get frostbite. Until next week, roll with safety.